What's up guys, I'm Landon from Shoewear, and today we're testing out the Nike Renew Elevate 3 in this plum fog colorway. If this is your first time checking us out, feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching and give this video a like. We would greatly appreciate that. So taking a quick look at the box and the price, he's getting an orange Nike box with some Nike Renew text on there. It is going to be a pretty basic setup though. And as for pricing, as the same as last year's model, these are going to stay at the low price of only $80 for retail. So that's definitely going to be on the more affordable side of the scale for a basketball shoe. So you have to like that. So looking at the appearance for these, I said this in my first impressions video like last week. Feel free to go and check that out too. It was actually the first time we dropped a video like that. But I mean, I do think these have a little bit of a KD12 look to them. I am going to stick with that. I can't see a little bit of a resemblance there. But now looking closer at the model, you are going to have some Nike Renew text that's going to show up on the tongue to kind of mark out the model name. Then on the upper is going to be a Nike swoosh kind of outline that kind of morphs into the midsole. I think that spot looks pretty cool. But I don't want to give these too much credit. Like I said, this is more of a budget-friendly option. And with that, you can see Nike didn't, really go out of their way to add a ton of details to this model. I do think they look better than the Renew Elevate 2s that I got to my left corner though. They just have a little more detail than that. But I mean, you are going to have some Nike swooshes to show up in some various spots, but there's not a ton to hit on for this section. The color is really clean though. Like this Plum Fog is the colorway name. I think this plum color that they used on the upper gives these a really nice look. But now let's go ahead and see how these shoes hold up. So now looking at more of their materials and the performance side, and starting off with the cushioning, this probably shouldn't come as a shock to you, but these are working with some Nike Renew foam that is designed to be softer and provide some impact absorption whenever you're hitting the ground. And I've actually been pretty impressed with how they feel so far, especially, for an $80 model. Like the first time I put these on and tested them out outdoors, which would have been a week ago in that first impressions video, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like they're not gonna be up there with like the Mellow Ball 1s, the Kyrie 8, or any shoes like that, but I mean, that layer of foam, it does feel really nice. I didn't need nearly as much break-in time on these as I was kind of planning for, so I mean that's always going to be a plus. And this is a really well-balanced shoe. Like sometimes you can feel some cheaper models, they just don't have a ton of like padding going on in like the heel. I mean, I guess some cheaper models don't have any padding going on in the heel or in the forefoot like just at all, but I mean that's kind of how I looked at some models like the Flyby Mids from Nike. But the Renew Elevate 3, it does feel pretty good. I mean, you're gonna have a padded collar that even gives you some enhanced comfort, so it's not going to be bad for the cushioning. I even think they took a step up from the Renew Elevate 2s. You always love to see that in a model, so I mean definitely not bad, especially whenever you consider the price. So now getting into the materials and the support, the upper is pretty much going to be all mesh, which is going to make this a breathable model just to kind of help you keep your foot cool. And mesh designs like this always are going to help shave some weight off of a shoe. These are on the much lighter side for a basketball shoe, with the size 10.5 only weighing 376 grams. That is up a touch from last year's model, but I mean just barely. Both of the shoes, I mean, I'm assuming every shoe from this Renew Elevate line has been pretty light, but the upper does feel pretty thin though. I will say that you can feel your foot like move around pretty easily, which did make me a little bit nervous about the support, but Nike did throw some pieces onto this model to kind of help with that. The first thing they did was put some red straps into the lacing system, and then tightening that just helps keep your foot in the shoe, just eliminates some movement. And I like whenever shoes do something like this, because as long as you're lacing your shoes up tight, like you should be able to feel that piece working. And then Nike also placed a black overlay kind of near the toes to help keep your foot in the shoe on those like side to side movements. And the back half is like sort of a heel counter to give you some extra stability to go along with everything else. So I mean, aside from the upper being made out of a thinner material, I was impressed with how the Renew Elevate 3 held up in these categories. I mean, or at least there was nothing that stuck out to me that was going to be overly concerning. To finish off with traction, this has a similar setup to the Nike Renew Elevate 2s from last year, but it is slightly different. You're going to get the same wavy lines kind of near the toe, but in the ball of your foot is more of like a circular pattern, and the whole idea behind that, I guess, was to make it a little bit easier whenever you're like pivoting or spinning. And honestly, traction is one of the better aspects for this model. I mean, still don't expect anything crazy, but there's definitely some bite for the Nike Renew Elevate 3, but they do collect dust a little bit because of that. But I've been impressed with how they've been playing so far. I mean, honestly, it hasn't been bad at all. And the grooves are pretty thick on these, so pairing that with the nice cushioning would make these a pretty solid outdoor option to hoop in. And then to finish off with sizing, I went true to size, and my toes are pretty close to the end, and the width is going to be normal. So if you like having like extra room to play in or anything like that, maybe you have a wider foot, you might want to consider, going a half size up. But overall, I do like the Nike Renew Elevate 3 model to play in. I mean, the price is great. We're talking about only $80, and the cushioning does a really good job for that price. And along with that is going to be some nice traction. The materials aren't bad, and you're going to have some nice support features kind of mixed in there as well. So like I said, definitely not a bad shoe to hoop in at all. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you're interested in buying these shoes and you want to support our channel, just click the link here on screen, or you have links from down below or in our bio, so feel free to check that out. But until next time, peace.